Welcome to the See Life Different Virtual Summit. My name is Khadirah Muhammad, and I am the host of the See Life Different Virtual Summit. Today is going to be transformational. Today is going to be majestic. Today is going to be everything that you need. We are very in tune to everything that's going on in the world today. Right here, right now, you are meant to be here in this space, in this present. This is meant to happen. The See Life Different Summit was created by me in 2021 after pivoting from the book called Seeing Life Through a Different Lens. It was based off of a book, based off of a podcast, and now it's a summit, which also in turn will become a regular thing. I am Zakir, and I have over a decade of experience of empowering women to literally see life differently. I share my story confidently as a cancer survivor of a rare childhood eye cancer. And ever since then, I've been empowering other women. I've been walking in my purpose, and today is your day and your time to shine. Welcome. Now we are going to go into Khadirah Muhammad. I mean, all things marketing automation. And so when you say automation, when you say system, when you say technology, you may easily be freaked out or scared or kind of like, oh, what if it messes up my business? But honestly, in reality, it's gonna make your life so much easier. So much so that Kadira decided to become a marketing and systems automation engineer. So she has been doing this for a while, but also because she has 2 decades in entrepreneurship, period. So she too has that experience of going to find that one thing, her purpose, that thing that lights her up. And so now she empowers you to fall in love with systems and automation. So it started originally as a way to help digital marketing clients or design clients, which then turned to helping coaches, consultants, and service providers to leverage systems and automation so they can gain back 500 hours of their time without feeling overwhelmed using tech, using her 4C framework method, which you're going to go in deep into. So if you do not have a pen or paper for this one, I think you need one because what happens is you need a system. You need a system, but sometimes you haven't even taken a look at the system that you're already using that's working, that's not working. So that's what we're going to go into. So without further ado, I am going to bring on Kadira. How are you?
Hey, I am
I
well.
am
How are
good.
you?
Thank you so much for being here because they need your genius.
Yeah.
I need your genius too. Shoot, I'm over here thinking
Right.
about all of the ways. I think when we were preparing to have this conversation, I've been thinking about all the ways that I know all of the things and haven't even done it. And I'm like, just can imagine just how many people don't even properly utilize email marketing at all. So that's one of the things I know we're going to talk about because we've had that conversation. But
Look,
I
I'm
say,
I'm
go ahead
excited
and
to
take
be.
the floor. Yeah, go ahead and take the floor. Tell us who you are and why you are so passionate about this. How did you get into this and why are you so passionate about it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And Z, I just got to give you your flowers even before I even started of just putting on this summit, putting on this event. I know you've been planning it, piecing it together. I've been behind the scenes on events before, so I know like anything can happen, and you just got to pivot. You got to go with it, and it's just like, hey, that's what happens, and that's what happens. But what's the important part is being able to show up for the audience and being able to show up for the speakers and yourself and just putting it on regardless of whatever life throws at you, because life always gonna throw stuff at you, and that's okay. But that's also why we have systems and even processes, and we just do our best to pivot with the time. So I just want to say that, and I love it, and I appreciate even you allowing me to be in this space and be able to give to your audience and mine who are also listening. So shout out to you. And for everybody listening, if you don't know who I am, my name is Khadirah Muhammad. Again, I'm a marketing automation and systems engineer, which is a bunch of words to say that I get to nerd out for a living when it comes to technology. And so if you're thinking about email marketing and sales funnels and advertising funnels and all that kind of techie stuff that for a lot of people it gets you like real tight. You're like, oh, hold on, wait a minute. I just I just got my phone together. Like, I'm just trying to put stuff together. I and my goal is to really help you get the clarity and get the confidence to be able to look at technology not as this monster, right? That this thing that just seems so above you, but as something to embrace and something to be able to leverage for yourself. So I am super excited to be here and to talk about that. And, like Z was saying, I've been doing this. I would love to be able to get to the point of the 2 decades mark, but then right now I'm 26 years old. 2 decades would be like 6 years old right now. But I have been doing this for 4 years.
Actually, no. You know what? The way these kids are nowadays, it's possible. It's possible.
No, it is possible. I got a little I don't have any children. I got a little niece and nephew, and they're like, my niece is like 10 years old, and she's over here playing in robotics camps, like robotics competitions where the robots beat each other up. I don't know. She does that. And like her mom was telling me, I'm like, what is she doing? And she was asking me about different coding platforms. And I'm like, you the mom or about the coach? She's like, no, it's for my daughter. It's for your niece. I'm like, my 10-year-old niece wants the code. So yeah, no, I believe it. They start early and early on. And I love it. I love to see it. But but I have been doing this since 2019. And really how I got started was I've always been kind of interested in entrepreneurship and in business, mainly when I got to college in 2015. And I got my first job ever. And I was a desk clerk. And it was just like these people in the dorms who would check out games and whatever stuff to all the other students. And I'm at this job. And for the first week, I'm like, I'm making like, I don't know, $7, maybe $6 an hour. And I'm like, yeah, this is not going to work. This is not going to work at all. Like, we got to do something different. And also, as I got a little bit older and just going through college at 20 years old, I don't know why this happened, but I just looked up one day and I realized that everybody that worked at Walmart, everybody that worked at the local grocery stores, everybody that worked at Tim Hortons and Starbucks were all people who were like in their 60s and 70s. And my college was in a college town. So it's always filled with like students and whatnot. And I'm like, why are they 60 and 70 working at Walmart as greeters? And I did the research, and the research said that most people can't actually retire. Mm-hmm. Like, we're in the last age of people being able to actually retire. Social Security is supposed to run out in 2029 or something. And I'm like, how is this possible? Because my grandparents could retire. My grandma has been retired since I was born. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm looking at the data. I'm like, wow, my parents, I don't know if they're really going to be able to retire, or if they can retire, it's going to be relatively difficult because of the type of jobs that they had. And I'm an only child. And so I'm like, okay, how can I help them? Because they've helped me so much. I had a wonderful childhood. Wouldn't change anything. I love my parents. They've been married forever. And so it's just, it gave me a sense of purpose and a sense of duty to take care of my own family. And so that's how I'm like, all right, well, what's this business thing and entrepreneurship thing? And then I got into it like a lot of other people do, which is you had a multi-level marketing ad, or somebody came to you and they was like, I'm selling this tea, I'm selling this, roadside assistance thing, and that's how I got in. Never made money from anything, spent some money, the little money I had in college, and didn't make anything. And at the end of it, I was like, all right, so what's this marketing part when you talk about multi-level marketing? And so that got me interested in digital marketing. And so I got a lot of different internships, and I got a minor in marketing as well. And so now I am like working at New Balance in their St. Louis location. I went to work there for a summer as their intern. I worked for different marketing departments at my college. And then finally, for about 2 years, I worked at a marketing agency. And so that's where I got a ton of experience when it came to advertising, came to emailing, came to website building, and all this fun stuff. And when it's like the end of my college career, it's like 2019, I'm about to graduate. And I'm applying for jobs because I'm like, well, let's get a job. You got to start small, do what you got to do. I'm applying to all these places, and I think I got it in the bag. Like Z, I think I got it in the bag because I'm like, I got all this experience. Most people don't come out of college with so much experience. Most people don't. Why nobody calling me back? I can't get a call back. I can't get an interview. I can't get anybody on the phone. I'm like, this is a scam. Somebody got me. And so I'm like, all right, if I can't get this job right now, let me just try doing something on my own. I don't know. We'll figure it out. And my apartment, I had already paid it up for the year because I had, I was working like 2, 3 jobs at the time. So I was like, let me just pay up my apartment for the rest of the lease. I'm here. I graduated. I'm still here. So let's try it. And so I got some digital marketing clients. I got a lot of, I did a lot of Google ads in the beginning. And one of the issues though that I found my first couple years in business was just managing my own time and me realizing I'm spending so much time on my client stuff. And even my clients had their own issues. They're trying to automate, but they're not saying automation. They're trying to figure out how to get back their time, even though I'm giving them the leads and the customers and the clients that they need. And so that's where marketing automation systems really came to me because it just was like I had to do something. They needed help. I'm the youngest person there. They're like, can you figure this out? And I'm like, sure. And I ended up doing it. I figured out how to build out funnels. I figured out how to use different apps and put them together and save them time at their receptionist time, do follow-up campaigns, all the kind of stuff that I'll go into a little bit deeper as we talk. But everything that I do now stemmed from just helping my own clients when I was just doing Google ads. And then in 2021, I was like, well, let's just do a pivot. Let's focus a little bit less on advertising and more on marketing automation and system building and really helping people with the foundation. The foundation is so important to me, more than any app that I'm going to mention on, as we talk. So yeah, that's the story. That's where we got into it. I've been loving it ever since. I've been loving it ever since.
I want to applaud you for creating this seat at your table because sometimes for us women that would be a pivotal moment of I'm not good enough. I I am a failure. All those negative thoughts. That's the easiest moment for those kind of thoughts to come in. So I want to acknowledge you for pushing through and saying, you know what? No, I am it. I am worth it. I am here, and I'm going to create my own seat. I love that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yes. So I kind of want to I just kind of want to go there, right? So one of the first, because I related to every single thing you said, because even for me, I decided to also start a agency because I was working with other creatives actually, right? Working with other creatives to um, first, it was the photography. First, for me, it was the photography because they were just not taking good lighting. And then I had to learn how to promote myself. And then I'm learning about social media. And then they're like, what is Facebook? Right? And then continue
Right.
to pivot on of, they set up their website and now email marketing is open up for everyone else. I'm sure, yes, the corporations have been using email marketing before us, but then, platforms like the ones you're going to mention later on started to open up for creative entrepreneurs. And then people are still like, why do I need email marketing? So the first thing that come into my mind is there was this program called If This Then That.
Yes.
And the minute
Wow.
I got into that, I'm like, game changer.
That
So
let me
what
tell
is
you,
that?
you just took me back. I was super on if this then that. If people, if y'all don't know why we're geeking out on this thing right now, if this then that is an app. It's an app. It's not just a bunch of words. It's an app, and it's a software that basically connects a bunch of other software together. And the logic behind it is if this then that. If this thing happens, then this thing happens. If you post on Facebook, then you send that post to Twitter. And it was really largely like social media based, and then it kind of expanded a little bit from there. And it's still around, like people still use it, albeit like that there's other software and tools out there that kind of do the same thing, especially like Zapier. If you ever heard of that? But yeah, if this, I use that a lot. I used that a lot in college because it was so cool. It was so cool.
It's come such a long way, and I think that's the thing. Like right now, because social media changes all the time, that sure people are easily frustrated and confused and not thriving, because they're like, oh, well, there's so many social media networks. Oh, there's so many of these other things, but there is an easy way to simplify all of that. And what's that first step for people to simplify?
Oh, absolutely. The first step is actually giving yourself clarity. And that's the first C in my 4C method, right? I love technology. I love software. I'm about to go dig into a bunch of apps after we get our call because I just found a bunch of things and I just want to test them out. I don't like when it comes to implementing and helping clients and like actually building a foundation. I don't like technology for technology's sake. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of just stacking on a bunch of software just because it's there, or because you saw it in an ad, or because your favorite influencer said they use this thing and you're like, I'm going to use it, even though y'all got two totally different businesses, and two totally different use cases, right? So the first step in really like finding technology, getting started with it, all that is not even technology, it's gaining clarity. It's having an understanding of what is this actually for and what do I actually need, right? And to do that, it's very particular. What I always suggest people to do is use what's called a Supreme Clarity Questionnaire. And what it does is these 6 questions you're going to ask yourself, okay? And you're going to ask yourself these questions every day for at least 7 days, because then you'll be able to see if what you said on Monday actually is what you need versus it's just the thing that you felt like, I got to get there, so that's what I'm going to put down. So the questions you want to ask yourself is, number 1, throughout your day, what took your energy? This is for my business owners. These are for my solopreneurs, right? Whether you're just getting started, whether you're at the $8,000, per month mark, you're making $100,000 per year, you still need to do this. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, right? If you've ever felt like this is a lot, there's so much to do, there's so many little tasks I got to get done, you need to be asking yourself, what took your energy, and listing it out. Because you'll be surprised. You have your to-do list, but how much of that did you really do? Right? You had your life schedule. It's like, this is perfect. This is what I'm gonna do every day. This is what I'm gonna do for the day. And none of that happens. I do that too. Like things come up and you gotta handle, we're firefighters. If you're an entrepreneur, you're fighting a bunch of fires. Little bit of flames, but that's what happens. Okay. And so you want to be able to use this clarity questionnaire. And it's this worksheet, and I actually have it for free. I think you just played it up. I want you guys to take a look at that and check it out. I'm providing it for free. I usually charge, I don't know, $47 or something for it because it's extremely, extremely helpful. And so you're going to ask yourself, what took my energy? You're going to ask yourself, why did that take your energy? Really think about it. Why did you have to call that customer? Why did you have to have that conversation with your team member? Why did you have to fix that problem with the apps? Why did you have to answer a bunch of questions over and over again? You just want to ask yourself why this is happening, because it makes you think deeper as to, did I really have to do that? Or did I not have to do that? Did that even give a net positive, or was it just something to do? Because we do a lot of busy work, y'all. We do a lot of busy work. That's why I don't like the saying booked and busy. I want to be productive and paid. You know what I'm saying? Booked and busy tells me you doing stuff. Productive and paid tells me stuff is getting done. And there's a difference. There is a difference. So you don't want to be booked and busy. You want to be productive and paid. That's what we want to be. So we ask ourselves, what took our energy? Why did it take our energy? And then look again as what were your non-CEO activities that you did, right? If you look at everything that got done, if any of these activities were things that you as a CEO shouldn't be doing, note that down, because we got to dissect it. Because again, booked and busy doing what? Busy doing a bunch of stuff, right? But stuff isn't actually getting done. And then we're going to ask ourselves, of the things that were non-CEO activities, what tasks can be delegated? Now you can see, all right, I don't need to be talking to, my clients back and forth about this, right? I don't need to be doing all this follow-up, this manual follow-up in phone calls. I don't need to be booking my own, appointments on my own calendar. You might be at that point where it's like, I need somebody else to do that. I need somebody else to get the flights and get the hotels and get the transportation and coordinate and all that stuff. You might be at that point, right? And then you want to figure out, you ask yourself, what systems do I need? You don't got to be really specific here. It's just more like, I need a system of being able to handle customer support, right, in a more efficient manner, but it also doesn't take away too much from my team and myself, right? That sounds like a lot of words, but it's specific enough to the problem that you have. And then the last question is my favorite one. What can I stop doing? Again, booked and busy, but you're not productive and paid. So what do I mean by that? We're doing a lot of stuff and not a lot is getting done because you're doing a lot of things you don't need to be doing in the first place. You should just stop it. I try to do that. If I can do anything, before I put in technology, before I hire, I ask myself, can I just not do this? Is there any way that I could just not do any of this at all, or as little as possible? You want to think about how you can delete stuff before you start adding more and more on your plate, because it just gets bigger and bigger. And we don't have all the time for that. We really, really don't. We all only have 24 hours out of the day. If God allows us to wake up the next day, that's another 24 hours, but that's all you have. That's all you got. You can make more money. Nobody can make you more time. So we don't know how much more time we have on this earth. And our time is already limited even from the 24 hours. Because guess what? You got to sleep. You got to eat. You got to go work out. You got to meal prep. You got to take care of your family. You have to go to the doctors. You have other personal appointments. You got to make your bed. You got to clean your house. You have to wash your dishes. I mean, there's other things going on in your life. You only have so much time to dedicate to working. Nobody can just sit down and work. I don't even have children. I can't just sit down and work. That's it. I have other things I have to do, other responsibilities and obligations. So consider what you can take off your plate before you consider adding more onto it. But yeah,
Those are all great questions. Yeah, those are great questions. And the first thing that came to my mind is there seems to be a theme going on today is to ask for help. I think that's the first thing of, even being able to know what the answers are to those questions. It's like, wait a minute, it's been a long time since I've actually asked for help. And so these questions are so helpful because not only do you get to um, know what to ask for and even be intentional and be specific on the help that you want to receive, but then you can really truly preserve your energy because you actually are utilizing technology and the help that you ask for to not do the activity draining activities that you already do. Like that's probably why you're not where you want to be in your life with your purpose, right? Because you're doing all of the things.
all the things and
Mhm.
then getting done. I mean, it's a crazy paradox. And when you first ask yourself, when I first was brought these questions, I would like to think that I'm the creator of it. I only added a little bit to it, but I wasn't. Somebody asked me these questions. They're like, you need to ask yourself this. And I was like, what? I'm like, what am I doing every day? I'm doing this, that. And I would just copy and paste my to-do list. And they were like, no, 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 no. What did you actually do? Not
Mhm.
like what you planned to do, what you thought you were going to do. And then when I had to look back at like even hour by hour, what did I actually do this day? I'm like, this wasn't nothing. And it's because all my time will be focused in one particular area, or it's fighting another fire, it's trying to get stuff done. It's doing a bunch of things, but not enough is getting done to move us to the next level. And that's why we ask ourselves these questions. It's not to make yourself feel bad. It's to help you move to the next level in your life. And in this case, I'm talking about business, but this can also help in your personal life as well.
Very helpful, very helpful. And now we probably will have a Q&A so you can actually have a real live example. But what is the next C in your framework? What's next? I'm ready.
Right. So let's say you did that questionnaire. You're like, all right, I got it down. Okay, I see it. Let's pick something out the air. Let's say you're having an issue where you have to answer back and forth with your prospects, right? You've had your sales calls, you've been on your consultations, you're talking to them. They were asking you the same questions over and over and over again. It's taking up a lot of your time to do that, right? These are just frequently asked questions. People are just asking you. It's customer inquiry type of things. And it's kind of a CEO activity, but it's kind of not because it's always the same. And it takes a lot of time to explain that to people and give them context. So let's say that's the situation going on, right? The next C is craft. Okay. Craft and what? Not craft and technology. We still
Arts and
haven't even
crafts?
introduced technology. Yeah, craft. I'm arts and craft. Actually, it's very similar. Crafting, you want to craft your workflow. You want to craft the experience. And so what I mean by that is, what is the experience that you and your clients or you and your customers are going to go through to help them get to the next level? while also using as little of your own time as possible. Okay, remember, we're trying to conserve these 24 hours that we got, because you don't really have 24 hours. You probably got 12 at best, right? We want to conserve it. So how do we help ourselves in doing that? In this case, what we want to figure out is, what's the end goal? What's the destination? Where do we want to take people? Like, for example, I live in Detroit, right? Z is in Atlanta. If I want to get from Detroit to Atlanta, what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't just get in my car, go south, and think I'm going to get to Atlanta just going south, following my heart to Atlanta. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to get on a highway and just keep on driving, even though there's detours I got to take, even though it's a bunch of snow on the ground, like, I'm not just going to do that. Nobody would. You wouldn't even just get in your car and go if you're going to a new, location in your own city. What would you do? You get your phone, you get your Maps app, and you figure out, okay, this is the destination, this is where I want to go, this is where I'm starting from, and the app is going to give you what? A route. It's going to give you a step-by-step directions on where to go. Okay? That's what you want to create for your business. You want to create a map, right? I call it a workflow. People call it a process. It's all the same when we're talking about this particular context. You want to craft the experience. You want to craft the map that takes you or your clients from point A to point B. And in this case, we want to help people go from asking the same questions, being unknowledgeable about maybe what you do or what you provide in your business, to being knowledgeable about what you provide in your business without you spending more time than possible. Because when you put your location in the app, they give you a bunch of different routes. They give you a scenic view. They give you the fastest route possible. They give you a route that allows the least amount of turns. They give you options. Okay. In our case, we want the fastest route possible. That also is the easiest to put together, right? We want to create that for our business. And I'm not going to be able to go as in deep, but maybe next time when we're able to do the in-person and I could just sit down with you, we can draw this out, because I draw this out and I'm not an artist. I'm not an artist, but I can draw a bunch of boxes and put them together. And I do have that worksheet, and I want y'all to scan that QR code to go look at that worksheet. You can print it off for yourself, or you can put it together online, but you're just going to list out step by step what's going to happen here, what's going to happen next, what happens after that. Just keep on going until you get to the destination. Because a lot of times we want to get technology, we want to introduce apps before we even figure out what it needs to do. And when we do that, what we're doing is we're creating a Band-Aid solution for a prescription problem. Okay? A Band-Aid solution for a prescription problem. What do I mean by that, Z? What I mean by that is this. Let's say who cooks? If you cook, I want y'all to say that you cook in the comments or in the chat or wherever you're at watching this right now. Okay? If you cook, I cook. If you cook, that means you probably cut yourself at one point. Because who doesn't? That's just what happens. You're cooking, you're chopping up, and as soon as you're like, oh dang, what happened? It just happened, right? You nick yourself on your finger. Not a big deal, as long as you don't chop off a finger. If you chop off a finger, that is a big deal. Please go to the emergency room. But if you just nicked yourself a little bit, that's okay. You put down the knife, you go wash it off, clean it up, put on a Band-Aid, you go back to doing what you're doing. It's not really a big deal. Why didn't you go to the emergency room if you just kind of cut your finger a little bit? Why didn't you go to the emergency room? You didn't need to. You don't need a doctor for that. You just get a Band-Aid, you keep it moving. That's a Band-Aid solution for a Band-Aid experience. Okay? Now let's move to a different experience. Let's say your stomach is hurting. Let's say out of nowhere it's in knots. You can't move. It's hard, right? Something's going on, and you don't know why. You didn't do anything different. You try to do some home remedies to figure it out. That's not working. The next thing you're going to do, you're going to go to the doctors. Okay? When you go to the doctors, are they just going to give you a Band-Aid? No, they're not. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to ask you, what did you eat? What's your family medical history? Are you on any medication? Right? Are you pregnant? Have you just recently had surgery? Just a bunch of other questions. Why are they asking all these questions? Because they're trying to figure out how to give you the best solution. A lot of times in our businesses, we want to jump from one thing to the next without trying to diagnose what the real problem is and then crafting a way for us to see to the other end and actually get our problem solved. That's what I mean by we want to have band-aid solutions for prescription problems. So before we even introduce technology, we need to know what's the experience, what is the technology actually going to solve for us, and in what way, okay? And in what way is it going to solve that for us? So that's where I have this worksheet. That's why we write it down. That's why you journal. That's why we're doing all these things first before we ever even consider introducing any type of tech. So that's the second C. The first one is clarity. You got your clarity. You got your questionnaire. You got your questions answered. Number two, you got to craft that workflow. You got to do step by step. This is what I want to have happen. And this is what I do with my clients, because a lot of times they're not going to do this themselves. But this is what, if you're not able to hire somebody like me, then you're going to need to do this yourself and kind of take your time so that way you can get the result that you want, which is your 500 hours back, which, by the way, that's less than 10 hours a week. That's less than 10 hours a week. But you will be surprised. A lot of us need more. We need more of our time back, not just 10 hours a week. You need probably 20, 30, 40 hours a week, right? Because we're spending so much of our time doing things we don't need to do. So yeah, that's what that second C is. That's what that second C is. And it's a great experience if you can write it down, create your map, find your own way to get from Detroit to Atlanta. You may realize, why are we even consider driving from Detroit to Atlanta? Just get on a plane.
Absolutely. And I love the way you broke it down of you're literally diagnosing your business. It's like you gotta diagnose yourself. You have to diagnose your business. And I love that you mentioned it that way of there's so many great gems. But I think the biggest one was just setting your own GPS, like set your own GPS as well for your business, because you got to know where you want it to go. Because what happens is, and I know I'm about to get into the next part, which is super exciting, of you'll go to the destination first, which is whatever technology app, by the lifetime access of whatever technology app so and
Yeah.
so said to get, when it's not the one that's going to bring you ease or clarity. And it's also, you end up kind of feeling like you lose money because you didn't do the work, or you're not willing to do the work, or ask for help of, I need the direction to get there. I didn't, take a look back and reevaluate the the diagnosis, right? What is the actual diagnosis? So I love that. And I'm thinking that I'm using my intuition right now, and I'm thinking of, because I'm sure this is a lot of information, because this is speaking my language. I completely get it. But I'm thinking of making a real life example, and I think we have a perfect person to make it a Q&A before we go into the next C. Okay, so I'm going to fully close out and want to thank every single person for being here, for listening, for receiving what it is that you needed to receive, for taking that action and seeing life differently. So your next action is, you have several options. One, definitely get in touch with all of the speakers. Okay, get in touch with every single one of them, and you can definitely do that by first going to KhadirahMuhammad.com/see life different, and on that page you'll have all the information you need to, one, get access to all the information that was shared today, and two, find out where we're headed to next. This is the second one and not the last one. And you definitely need to reach out to us to let us know what your favorite parts were. Let us know what your favorite parts were. And I want to thank you also for joining me, especially if you are watching on March 11th, for joining me on what I have declared since March 11th, 2020 as Love Zakira Day. I want to thank you for joining the See Life Different movement. Whether you're starting with the book, by getting the book, Seeing Life Through a Different Lens, a survivor's memoir, or AKA a positive guide for advocating for yourself, and understanding the power of community and understanding the power of advocacy. And definitely continue listening to the podcast. The podcast has over 100 episodes. 100 episodes. Yes, you said it. And there's so many of them for you to choose from. So also support the podcast by picking an episode on nutrition, on wellness, on marketing, on mindfulness, and see life differently. My purpose is for you to empower yourself to step outside of your comfort zone and live that creative life that you have been daydreaming about since you were 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 13 years old. And I want you to reach out to us and let us know that you've taken action, even the smallest action. Okay. So be sure to continue to follow all of us on social media. Watch this replay, share this with people that you know could benefit from it. And I want to thank you for being here and seeing life differently. So I can't wait to see you at the next one. And definitely be sure to follow all of us on social media. Tag us at See Life Different, hashtag See Life Different Summit. And we will see you next time.